Not so long ago, I was in the market for a new LED light, and that's when I came across the Litemons LA200D. I haven't heard of the name Litemons before. It was surprising to know it's actually a lineup by Godox, which I am familiar with. Now, I was a bit skeptical at first about going with the LA200D, but I'm actually pretty glad that I did. So today we're going to be taking a look at the Godox Litemons LA200D and why it might be one of the best options that you can get in its price segment. So the Litemons series by Godox is a more budget-oriented lineup. You can compare it to the Amaran lineup by Aperture, which offers a similar range of products. So the LA200D is focused primarily towards output and performance rather than anything else. Now in the box you get the main light fixture, you get the reflector, the body cap for the light, the main power brick and power cable, the fixing band and the metal rope for mounting said power brick, and in the end the instruction manual. Now the LA200D is made entirely out of plastic, but don't get me wrong, it's built pretty well. It feels nice and sturdy in hand. It has a pretty similar design to the Amaran 100D or 200D if you're familiar with those. Almost all of the chassis is covered by the mesh holes for the air vent, and at the front is where the main LED chip is located. It does come with a Bowens mount, so you can use any sort of Bowens mount light modifier with this, such as soft boxes, lanterns, reflector, front end mounts, etc. And at the back is where the main control unit is located. More on that in a bit. And above that you can find the main carrying handle. Now the yoke is also made out of plastic. I wish that it was made out of metal because the yoke is one of the parts of the light which has the most moving parts involved. It's still built pretty well. It's also where the main umbrella mount is located, so if you're using an umbrella diffuser, you can use that with this light as well. Now coming back to the main control unit, you will see that there are two main dials. One of them obviously controls the intensity of the light. You can control the output in 1% increments, and you can go all the way down to 1% if you like, and the other one controls all of the special effects mode that this light offers. There are 8 different special effects modes. I don't really use any of them because I mostly use the default primary light mode, and I'm going to put up all of the special effects mode that this light has on screen right now so you can check those out. And besides the 2 dials, you can see that there are also 2 buttons. One of them is the effects mode button, which after pressing which it will enter into the said effects mode. And the other one is for the Bluetooth pairing mode to connect it to your smartphone for using the app. Now speaking of the app, the light doesn't actually come with any sort of external remote, but it does come with the said app to connect the light to your phone via Bluetooth for controlling it remotely. I guess the app works pretty decently. You can obviously control the intensity of the light as well as all of the special effects mode that the light has from the said app itself. And if you get the bicolor one, you can also control the color temperature of the light straight from the app as well. Now besides all of those, there's also the main LED display at the back, which shows the current settings at which the light is operating at. For example, the intensity of the light, the color temperature, and the Bluetooth pairing mode. I have the daylight version here, so it's only showing me one color temperature, which is 5600 Kelvin. But if you were to get the bicolor one, you can change up the color temperature and it would show up on the display as well. Now for the overall build quality, I would say that the light is built pretty well. But if you're someone who does a lot of run and gun sort of work where you're traveling a lot with your gear, this might not be the one to get. But if you're someone like me who does mostly in-studio work, it's going to work perfectly fine for you. Now coming down to the main question, how does the light perform? The Litemons LA200D is a 230 watt LED COB light, which on paper is stated to have a maximum output of 8700 lumens without using any sort of modifiers or reflector in front of it at 1 meters of distance, which you can bump up to about 85,000 lumens if I'm not wrong, using the reflector that you get in the box. Now, I don't have a light meter or spectrometer to give you the most accurate reading, but I guess the numbers mentioned on paper are right up there. It's also said to have a CRI of 96, which means the color rendition is also going to be on point. And as I mentioned, I have the daylight version here, which is operating at 5600 Kelvin, and for that I will say it's also quite accurate. Mine's actually operating at about 5500 Kelvin, so I'll say overall it's pretty accurate for the color temperature as well. But if you get the bicolor one, you can change the color temperature from, I believe, 2700 Kelvin to all the way up to 6500 Kelvin if I'm not wrong. Now I haven't faced any sort of flickering issues, especially at high shutter speeds and low intensity, which is a good thing. But if you're facing such issues, I would recommend replacing the light as soon as possible. Now I'm going to talk about the current camera settings that I'm using right here for this A-roll shot with the LA200D as the primary key light, which will help you get like a more relative information of how much output you're getting with this light and is this going to be enough for you or not. For example, my shutter speed is setting at about 1/50th of a second with my aperture at f2.8 and my ISO sitting at about 800, and the light is only at 2% right now. I'm not kidding, it's at 2% and it's giving this much output. I'm obviously using a softbox which is cutting down on the overall output, but still at 2%, this much light, I guess the numbers mentioned on paper are pretty accurate. Now I forgot to talk about the fan noise. There is a fan inside the light to cool down the entire system. One of the only downsides about this light is you can't actually control the fan. It just starts spinning as soon as the light is turned on. Even if you set the intensity of the light at 0%, it's gonna still spin. But for the fan noise, it's actually not that bad. I'm using the light right now and you can barely hear it. Now I'm gonna be quiet for about a couple of seconds so you can get an idea of how much of the noise profile is generated by the fan inside the light. It's pretty silent, which means this light is going to perform really good for dialogue shooting such as interviews or for YouTube videos like this. And yeah, I've been using this light for about 3 to 4 months now, and if I have to summarize my experience in just one word, it's going to be satisfied, especially for the price at which it comes at, which is about 25,000 Indian rupees or about $300 if I'm not wrong. For that price, I'll say the light is well above worth it. I'm actually thinking of getting another one of these, probably the bicolor one. So if you guys want me to cover that, let me know in the comments below. And yeah, I guess that's pretty much it. If you have any questions, just drop them down and I'll see you all in the next one. And yeah, I guess that's pretty much it. If you guys have any questions, just drop them down and I'll see you all in the next one.